It's true, of course, that listening to
making movies
is a matter of personal preference and taste.
You know, for me, I have a background as an immigrant, growing up in the United States with an immigrant family, but on the privileged side of that, to be frank, which gave me an insight growing up to both worlds, because my family really communed with other immigrant families, but then, you know, you slip into your world of privilege and you hear people talk about when they think that no immigrant is around, but even though I'm there, you hear what people say on the other side of that divide, and it can be shocking, it can be uncomfortable. As a kid, it can be really confusing in terms of where you fit, where's your place. And you know, being a young college student who was mainly interested in theater arts and the arts, inspired by my big brother who's an artist, I kind of came to understand and appreciate doing this work as a lawyer, that the law that we practice really is kind of downstream from other more large phenomenon in our world. Culture is really what influences the laws that we make, and art is really what influences the culture that we live in. And so it's really special for me to be working with groups like you guys, like making movies, because you know, you are at the pinnacle. People they can shut me out as a lawyer, and they can kind of classify me and put me in a box. And people can kind of also close their eyes to a culture and recede into their own. But music and art, this is what touches all human beings, and it's something that penetrates our senses, our ears. You really can't shut out your ears. If you hear a good tune, if you're listening to good music, you're going to start moving your body, you're going to start bobbing your head, and before you know it, you are now embracing a culture, and through that culture you can be embracing new logic and new thoughts that challenge maybe what you know, but in your heart you start to feel that connection, and that's where things really start to get, that's where the movement begins.
I resonate with everything you said so innately. Diego and I were born in the same hospital in Santiago, Panama, and the stories of mankind are littered with this, of just how certain laws change, and then your status, your situation is different because of something, a law that changed in the 80s. I was born not a U.S. citizen, and my brother was born a U.S. citizen through my dad's lineage. So we're immigrants with privilege too. That my dad was a citizen that allowed me to eventually become naturalized. But that taught us, like as children, like we're the same blood, same DNA. We take baths together. Like there's no distinction between my brother and I. Right. Yet legally there was a huge divide. And so that intersection of the reality of the human beings and the legality of a process, that there's a disconnect, and that was an innate truth.
All right, so we had some questions on Facebook. We had put it out on our socials, and so I'm just gonna ask you a couple of questions. That's cool.
Yeah.
So the first one is, how is reunification of families taking place? And after being unified, are they being released or detained together in other centers?
Well, first, I think we must say reunification is not taking place. Right today, they're talking about having reunified 38 kids. That's like 1% of the children who have been separated, who are in detention. The government is admitting now that it doesn't even know where a lot of the parents are for these kids. These are children who don't know their parents by any other name than mama, dada. And so what basically happens is, right now the government is trying to challenge an existing law that says that children have to get out of detention after 20 days. They're trying to break through that. They are losing in court, but they still have the ability and the desire to do it anyway and let the courts follow up. They don't care if it takes 2 years for the courts to catch up with them. They're going to break through these norms and do it. So we're hearing right now the government is trying to expand family detention, which currently has about 5,000 beds, by more than 20,000 additional beds. So there's a full-on attempt to reunify, and we have to understand, when we hear the government say reunify, what they mean is put them on an airplane together and deport them, or put them on a military base and hold them together. It's only through paying the bonds, which is what we're doing with the $20 million that have been donated through Facebook to our organization, is we're paying the bonds. We've spent in about 2.5 weeks around $100,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's actually only 18 moms that we've been able to get out. Once you can get the mother out from detention, then she can get to a stable residence and begin the reunification process to get her child out. So that's our basic MO. Pay the bond, get the mother out, and then get the mother the help she needs to get her child out.
Right, good. Okay, well the follow-up question that had to do with that money, with the $20 million. It said, ask them what happened yesterday when trying to deliver the $20 million check to Donald Trump. If they aren't able to make that happen, what do they need? to help with that?
So we came here to Washington, D.C. We had a presser on the Hill with a lot of leaders in the Senate and the Congress. We went to the White House to attempt to deliver our $20 million check to the White House. We were shut down by the Secret Service and chased away. But we're going to continue to press the government to accept that money and to work with us on an orderly process for releasing all these families. But that doesn't stop us. We're every day right now paying tens of thousands of dollars to help get each mother out that we can, but we're having to act like private investigators just to find them and jump through all the bureaucratic hoops. If you've ever been to the Department of Motor Vehicles and had the worst time, that is an easy day in terms of dealing with ICE to pay these bonds. So we've paid about, we've paid almost $100,000 now for 19 women, but that's really just not enough. We know that those donations were not given to us. Those were given to this moment to help these moms. And so we're doing everything we can to not have it go out bit by bit, but use it as a moment creator to try to create bigger change and get all of these mothers out.
Okay, great. And I think this last question is all a question in one question, but are there experienced immigration attorneys being contracted for this work? How large is the legal team involved, and how many cases are you guys handling? Are you doing individually, or are you doing like group cases?
In order to be a lawyer, you've got to be individually retained on each case. So we are trying to approach this problem that's affecting a whole class of people, but it breaks down to one lawyer, one client, battling for that person. We have at RAICES more than 50 attorneys who work on these cases. We closed last year more than 50,000 immigration cases. We're currently hiring, we're contracting, we're working in partnership with other organizations around the state, around the country, and we intend to expand. That process is a deliberate one. What we're really focused on right now is using that money to bond these women out, because $10,000 is the average bond that these women are having to pay, which literally shuts down them and their families' abilities to arrange their own affairs. And so our hope is that by lifting up this burden of the $10,000 for each family, that they can then organize among themselves now, without waiting for a nonprofit to grow to scale, and they can spend the $2,000 or $3,000 on an attorney, on getting a ticket. We have funding available, and we're helping on an individual basis on getting people buses, airplane tickets, hotel rooms when they need it. We're doing that help, but by trying to alleviate this mass oppressive bond structure from these families, it's also enabling a lot of families to organize the help that they need in their communities to get these families safe and out of jail.
Great. And if you want to donate more money or help, where can you go right now to go do that?
You can go to our website. You can donate to our Family Reunification Bond Fund. You can donate to our LEAF Fund, which is for legal services for unaccompanied children who are different than the separated children. They are in desperate need of help as well, because the government is pulling the thin safety net away from them as they're doing this whole plan. But they can go to www.raicestexas.org, and you can find all the donate options there right on the website.
Awesome. Bueno, muchas gracias. Thank you for your
Gracias
time.
a ustedes.
And we'll see you very soon.